Well, hello everyone. I hope that you all are having a great evening tonight. This has become probably one of my favorite things to do every week. Welcome back to Feature Friday. I have some special guests here. Actually, let's say we have three special guests today. One of them, of course, is going to be, I guess I can call him my co interviewer, my husband, Travis Corley. But our stars for the evening are Mr. and Mrs. Vandiver, and this couple has just been such an encouragement to both of us, honestly, and that's true honesty. Just to really see where you guys have come from, where you guys have been, and who you are now is so amazing. And the beautiful family that you guys have and are continuing to develop. So, I'm going to stop talking and let you guys kind of introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I joined GIG when I was 17, 18. Yeah, because it was right before I dropped out of high school. And I met Josh 2 months before I joined GIG. And we were both 18, 19, and now we are 22 with a almost 2-year-old daughter. And we are pregnant again.
Hi, well,
Wow.
I'm Joshua. Well, a little bit about myself. I reckon I was raised in Kentucky. I'm a military vet, and I got out, and I married Miranda in the service, and we got out and had Raylan, and now we got the other one on the way, and I guess GIG just really made us a little bit stronger together each month, This really helps us through some stuff every once in a while. Being a young couple, we have our problems. I'm sure everybody else does, but just got to work through it and keep fighting because, at the end, it's all going to be worth it. So don't ever give up.
All right.
Yes, yes, yes. And Travis, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself because I know you're not normally on here when I do these. So tell us briefly about you.
Hello, GIG. Once again, I'm Jacqueline's husband. I think over the last year, I haven't really taken too much of an opportunity to kind of step in a group and put a video or post up. And that's simply because as much as I support my wife on her dreams, I'm always the one that I step away to allow her to have her own space. I don't like clogging up my wife's space because I don't like my space clogged up. So I give her the opportunity to live out her dreams on her own, and I just support from afar. If you don't know, I'm also a college professor. I also work for a organization. I'm an urban missionary leader, and that gives me the opportunity to step inside of inner city schools and to help change inner city kids' lives, to help them battle with some of the problems that they deal with. I've been a youth leader at my church for 7 years. I'm currently writing my second book. I have I'm gonna have to publish 2 books at one time because I had a book that I previously written that I just didn't finish with the editing process, and then I got inspired to write another one, which I've been writing over the last 3 weeks, and I'm about done. So so I have a lot of work on my hands. I also have a podcast called the Gaining Control Podcast. It's on iHeartRadio, Apple podcast, Google Podcasts, and a host more of other sites that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. So I have my for me myself, I'm in the space of personal development and self-help. So I've been there for now, I think about 4 years with different projects, and so I think I'm going to remain in this space. This is where I'm authentically built at, and so this is why I align with my wife and her vision for GIG, and being able to support you all and to help out and to do what it is that she needs done to make sure that this group grows and it thrives on its own.
Yes, that is so, so awesome. And he truly does do a lot of things behind the scenes for GIG, which is one of the reasons why I'm able to do things like this, to get girls and even girls and their husbands to be able to do these types of interviews. So thank you guys for doing this, but also thank you for telling us a little bit about um, you guys. But before we get into all the GIG stuff, I think everybody wants to know this question. How did the two of you actually meet?
They'll let Miranda handle this one.
3 years prior to us actually starting to date, we had met at a church camp in Illinois that we both gone to. And because of we were both dating our exes, but when he first saw me, it was really muddy and rainy that week. And when he first saw me, he stepped over to a ledge to let me walk by and my friend walk by. And he was too busy staring at me and stepped off the ledge and into the big mud puddle. Yeah, it was like a little ditch thing. But then 3 years later, his brother married one of my friends, and I was the maid of honor, and he was the best man in the wedding. We started dating after I flew.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It was meant. It was meant. It was not. You can do to dodge each other. That was meant.
And it was funny because when we both saw each other for the first time, he thought my hair looked stupid. And I thought he was this little weirdo, and we both absolutely thought we were like not
compatible.
No.
Wow.
Wow, that is so crazy. Like he said, that is meant, but it's amazing some of the first things that you think. I mean, you don't even want to know probably the first thing that I thought about Travis when I first met him. But it's crazy to think now where we are now, and look, you guys have made just the most beautiful family. How awesome is that?
We're not going to go past. I'm not going to let her just skip past that. I want everybody to know this, just in case you think about your future husband this way. Because here's the thing. Most people think when you find your spouse, they think it's like some loving thing all the time. But most of the time, it's ugly. It's like the total opposite of what you ever would expect. When I first walked into the library, she seen me before, and she had to help me on a computer. She was like the only person available to help at the time I needed help. And her initial thought was I was this like basketball thug that didn't care about women, that only wanted one thing. Now, if she would have met me 6 months before that, she would have been right. But at that point in time, that wasn't who I was. So it was like kind of interesting she had that take. But now I want to know if she still has that take.
Obviously, we know that that's not the same case right now, but we're here to talk about Miranda and Josh, so let us continue. But thank you guys for sharing that. So now I want to just talk about Miranda. How did you get connected with GIG? I've been asking this question to every person that has gotten up here. How did you get connected to GIG? What's the story behind that?
Okay, so you know those really, really, really annoying pop-up ads that come onto your Facebook constantly and don't ever go away? Ever? Yeah, that's how I found GIG, because your face kept popping up with a Girls Inspiring Generation ad, and I'm like, what the heck is this? It's getting super annoying. It won't go away. So finally, I clicked on the link and said, here.
The ad works.
And it worked. And look what happened. Look what happened. And it's crazy because I have the same thoughts too about these ads. I'm like, why do I keep seeing this? It's popping up all the time. But the thing that I don't even know is how often it pops up. So I'm just thinking, okay, we send it out. It's cool. Girls will see it. Great. And I'm thinking you've seen it one time and you join. I'm not thinking that you've seen it millions of times. So it's crazy how that happens. But after you got connected to GIG, what was that like? Like, what was your journey like? And just talk about how it's helped you since getting connected.
I guess I didn't really know all the problems that I had in my life because I never really talked about them until you posted an article or something about your Teen Girl Revolution program that you have, and how you described it. I'm like, maybe that's just for the fun of it. Maybe that'd be something that I need. And then as soon as we got more connected and we started doing our phone calls and our weekly assignments, like, if you guys don't know Jacqueline and how she can dig into you and make you answer something you don't want to answer, then you're missing out.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm glad that has been just a great experience for you. And I want to comment on what you said about my ability to dig in, because I think we have seen enough in our society where we have tried to address things at a surface level and nothing changes. And when I created this group, I didn't want that to be the case. I wanted you girls to be able to have real life change, be able to see things and transformations that are real and not something that's either fake or doesn't last very long. So that is why I created GIG and TGR itself. So now tell us, Miranda, what was TGR like?
Honestly, it was scary and very painful, but the end was very strengthening and enlightening, because there's things that I found out in TGR that I never would have thought to think about in my life, or how it's made my life the way that it is. And so really digging into my past and the feelings that I never knew that were really there definitely brought out a lot in me and showed me that even with Stronger Together, that I had somewhat of a story to tell to other people, not knowing that all this time that story was within me. I just didn't know how to tell it because I was afraid of expressing my feelings, because I was afraid of my past relationships with my past friends. I was legit, you know this, I was afraid of literally what everyone thought about me. Even though most of my past was not my fault, I was still afraid to express how I felt. And really with TGR, I got into all of that, and that really brought out my story and me realizing that I did have a story and I could tell it.
Yes, and I love that you said that about your story, because everybody's story is different. But the thing about a story is you have to own your story, because if you don't own it, then you're not going to be able to really help those who really need to hear it. And so that's actually one of the reasons why I'm asking girls to do this, is to share their stories, because there may be other girls or other people who need to hear this. So I'm glad that you had such an amazing experience with TGR, but I want to mention something from TGR that I don't know if Joshua knows. So Miranda, tell me, what week did we actually start talking about Josh? I think it was pretty early, wasn't it? First week, second week?
Yeah, because we had just started. We hadn't been dating for very long. And a lot of my past was I was afraid of making those same mistakes with Josh that I had done with previous relationships, even with friendships, because of my past. So we talked about him a lot.
Yes, we did. I still remember. And when you told me about him, because I remember I asked you to tell me about him. And when you told me about him, do you remember what I told you?
Nope.
You don't remember what I told you about him? I basically told you that you need to keep him. And I told you that, I told you that because I had to help you get a picture to see that regardless of whatever it was that you were struggling with and dealing with, that had nothing to do with Josh. And if you continued with your worries and things, it would have pushed him away. And now look, Okay, so
That's
I
not
want to
push
comment
boy.
on that because, yeah, I want to comment on that because there are so many people who do that. They think that because of their own shortcomings and their own things that they've dealt with, that all of a sudden they can't have this relationship or they can't have this person. This person's not meant, when really that person could be the person to really help you be the best version of yourself. So I'm so glad that you were able to see that and that TGR came at that time to help you see that. But also kind of talk a little bit about what else TGR did for you.
It helped me find myself. I remember one of the things that I had to do for an assignment was get on Pinterest and just pick out things that I like, and not, it was on a private thing, so I didn't have to show anybody. I had to show them what kind of jeans I wanted to wear, or the shirt I wanted to wear, or the shoes I wanted to wear, or the type of songs I liked, or just anything that I liked. I didn't have to show anybody but myself and Jacqueline. And just recently, I think I sent you a picture of my jeans and heels together. I'm like, even after all this time, I'm finally doing it. I'm still doing it. So just really learning how to know who I am as a person. It's still, even today, it's still not easy. I still haven't fully figured it out. And I know it's because I'm growing and I'm getting older. And even in our marriage, things change every day. So it's still a daily journey of trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah, that's so good. Do you have anything to add?
So I noticed. So one thing that was so great about y'all's marriage was that not only that y'all got married young, but y'all was able to mentally process what everything would look like, and on top of y'all was able to be able to put y'all selves to the side to make a decision that encompass everybody. And that's something that a lot of young people can't do. Even at our ages of being a few years older than you all, it is something that's hard to do. And so I wanted y'all to speak on what is like, what was it like being married at a young age, but also too, what has it been like to work together and make decisions for the betterment of a family?
Honestly, it was hard getting married young. Yes, that's
especially at the beginning of a relationship, because 90% of it was long distance.
But being married and making a decision together, I trust Miranda with everything. If she makes a decision, I'm going to 100% back her up on it because I trust her enough to know that she's going to make the right decision. And I feel like she trusts me enough that when we make a decision, it's in unison and we both agree upon it. And I don't know, we just kind of click that way, I guess.
Even though we may argue about some things, I think that's normal. Because I mean, if you don't argue about anything, which means you're not getting anywhere in your relationship, it means you're too settled, I guess. But yeah, I think trusting each other is a huge thing in our relationship.
It really is.
Because
you have to trust your,
especially, I mean, we both have trauma in our past that makes it really hard for us sometimes. And especially being young, because even though we're trying to learn all this stuff and still be able to raise our family and pay our rent and do our jobs, but still stay connected to each other. So I think trust and communication it's
a major role in it. Major role in it all. It's trust and communication.
And trust, for me, especially with my past, has been super, super hard. Like when we were first married, and even within the last maybe year, I would always constantly check his cell phone. Always, because I just knew he's cheating on me. I just know it. But that part of that came from my past too, because there had been several times, even my friends who would talk about me behind my back. So I think trying to overcome both of our past and still live for our future is one thing that was also hard, but still knowing that we can cling to each other and fight through our emotions helped a lot too.
Right. No, that's great. And I think one thing that's fascinating about your relationship too, is that I think outside of ourselves, now I think there's one other person that's married in GIG. And so it's one of them things that we know there's a lot of girls that are single and they think that, and a lot of people want y'all's story. They want to find love at a young age. They want to start a family early, and they want to be able to live their life with more years of being tied with someone than being away from people in such of a relationship. And so it was one of them things that I noticed that for us, we didn't have y'all story. And for us, it came later on. It came after in graduate school, and it came after graduate school. And so I know that it's likely it can happen, but I know it's not everybody's story. And so I want you all to speak on this because I think a lot of girls need to hear this in GIG. What was the toughest part about committing yourself to a marriage so early in life compared to if you would have waited?
Honestly, I think for me, it was the people that I was surrounded by, because I knew from the moment that I was even talking to Josh over the phone and the first time that we met, and just how me and Josh clicked and connected, I felt like I'd known him my entire life, and I could legit tell him everything or anything. And even though it may have been a stupid question, he still never made me feel stupid for asking it. But I honestly think, even though I knew in my heart that he was the one for me, and even though I couldn't see sometimes past the next day, I could still kind of see into our future way more. And for me, it was people that I was surrounded by, because, oh my God, you're going to get young. You're going to get married. You're only 19. Or what happens if he gets deployed and he's in the military? You're going to be home by yourself. You're not going to have a life. You're not going to be surrounded by any friends. You're not going to know what to do with yourself. But in my thinking, I had to learn all that on my own, because I knew what I wanted. I knew how I was going to get there. I knew what I had to do to get there. But there are so many people surrounded by me who, I don't know, who try to like push me out of it, I guess.
My biggest thing with getting married this young, honestly, it's a blessing, because like you said, you get to spend way more time with your significant other. And that to me is it's literally awesome. It's amazing. Right now, we're, like she said, we're 22 years old, and we already got a kid, another one on the way. And you can start your family young, and you get to see them grow old, and you get to be around a little bit longer. And with me being in the military, getting married was one of the hardest things for me. But I knew that Miranda was the one, and I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her, and I just couldn't wait any longer. I honestly could. But honestly, if you are dating someone and you feel like they're the right one for you, 100%, don't ever rush into a marriage. Don't ever do that, because that is one of the biggest mistakes you can ever make in your life, is honestly rushing into a marriage at a young age. You have to be mentally and physically ready for it, both of you, or it's just honestly not going to work out. Because being in that close quarters is going to bring out problems, so you honestly need to be ready. But like I said, it's been one major blessing being married to Miranda this young, and I don't regret any of it.
And even still being married this young, it's fun, because
you're learning each other. You're learning.
Even as adults, you're trying to learn how to pay the bills, and you're trying to learn how to budget. And it's kind of fun having your best friend by your side to learn how to do it all, rather than waiting later in your life when, I don't know, you're 25 or 30.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
You already know how to do all that stuff, but it's just been fun learning all this side by side.
But there's nothing wrong with getting married later on.
Exactly.
If you need to wait and make sure the one that you're with is the right one, don't rush it. Like I said, do not rush it. You just
don't marry him just because he smiles at you.
Right.
It's not. It has to be. You have to feel it in your heart. I've known so many girls that I've mentored myself who have constantly said, "Well, I think he's the one for me, but I don't know if he loves me." If you don't think he loves you, back out.
Get married. Right.
There should be no question from the very beginning on how a guy feels about you or how a girl feels about you. If you feel the littlest thing about it or something that's off with it, back out. Don't go into something and think that it's going to get better once you're married, because 90% of the time it will not. It will get worse, and it's going to end in divorce, and that's going to be so much more heartache than it would if you would have just waited for someone who truly loved you.
Right.
That's good. You got anything else?
No.
That's good. That's really good. And I really love what the both of you said, because both of that is so true. But I really do want to echo, you do not want to rush into anything. Like for us, it even took us 4 years before we decided that we were going to get married. So there's a lot of things that really come into play before you make that decision. And I think all of us can agree that when we did go to the altar, it really did help us that we were actually, mentally ready, like Joshua was talking about. And we didn't have to worry about so much of the excess that we didn't need before we got to the altar. So I think that's a pretty amazing thing. But, if you're out there and you're with someone and you know that they're the person, don't rush. Make sure that you guys are ready. Make sure that you guys are available, because marriage only brings out the type of person that you are. It doesn't, it can change you over time, but you have to be willing to do the work for as an individual in order to be the best that you can be for the other person. So great insight. So the next thing that I heard you guys talking about is 2 words called stronger together. And I know that has 2 different meanings for you guys. But first of all, I want you guys to talk about stronger together from the perspective of what it's like being stronger together as a couple, as a married couple.
To me, being stronger together as a couple is you have to build off each other. It's not a 50-50 relationship. It's 100-100. Mm-hmm. You both have to put in 100% of the relationship to build each other's strength. Like Miranda was saying earlier, when I'm down, she's my rock. This is who I come to when I got problems, when I have PTSD, or if I have an anxiety or depression. I go to her because I know she's rock solid for me. She builds me up. She helps me through it. And I like to think I help her through the same thing. So you both need to be there with each other 100%, because a 99-100% relationship, you need to be 100-100. It's all about putting yourself out there for your significant other, because that's the second part of you. Without them, you're nothing. It's literally nothing. But yeah, you'll know that feeling once you've met the right person, that once they're not there, you just feel empty inside. Like you have, I don't know, it's definitely in order to become stronger together, you have to be there for each other 100%, or it's not going to work.
And I'll add to that by saying,
right,
just recently, a cousin of mine had messaged Josh about some rumors, and we both knew they weren't true. And yet, even though we did get upset, we didn't really ever get upset with each other about it, because we knew from the very beginning that wasn't how our relationship was. That's not how we were. So I think going back to the trust and the communication of a relationship is really what builds and makes you stronger. Because if you don't have trust and you don't have communication in anything, if your husband or your boyfriend or whatever said something to you didn't like or don't think was right, you should be able to say, whoa, hold on a minute, rewind, not, I'll just keep it to myself and maybe it'll pass by. You have to have good communication. And even like Josh said, he's my rock, I'm his rock. If you're in a relationship with somebody that you feel like you can't fill them up and say, hey, my depression is super bad today, or hey, my suicidal thoughts are back. If you don't have that type of relationship, get out of it. There's no point in it.
That's good.
Right. Yeah, that's so good. And stronger together is is just an amazing phrase because it's really something that I feel like a lot of people just need to cling to, because I think sometimes when you have problems, especially things that may have only affected you, like maybe there's something at the other person's job, or maybe it's with the other person's family, that you tend to try to take it as your own problem, and you forget that you have somebody there that can help you be stronger through it. So I'm so glad that you guys shared that. Now, Stronger Together also has another meaning for Miss Miranda. So tell us about your group, Stronger Together. Like, how has that been? How did you come up with the idea? And what are your plans for it? Because I know, I'm sure you probably have some future plans for it. So tell us about it.
So when I first created Stronger Together, I was super self-conscious about it. I thought it was the most dumbest idea, but GIG had these little groups that were grouping off from teen leaders who were starting their own stuff, and Jacqueline came to me and she's like, hey, have you ever thought about making a group, and I'm thinking, what in the world does this lady want now? Now what do I got?
Oh, I love that too. I love that.
I had to sit there and really think hard about what I was going to make a group, because I just didn't want to make a group that, was going to be a comedy show. I wanted a group that was actually going to be meaningful and was going to help somebody. And I got to thinking about it. And the more I got to think about it, it took me back to when I first started TGR about having my story. And I never really realized the potential of Stronger Together until I had the first time that I had shared my story with one of the girls that was in GIG. And I started telling her she started telling me about her past, and I'm like, whoa, I can honestly relate to that. I can definitely relate to that. And I can tell you that it's not always going to be this way. It's not always going to last. You're not always going to feel like this. And that's really when I thought of Stronger Together, because the more I realized that, the more that I shared my personal story and I helped somebody else, that person became stronger because they realized that they could get through it. I realized that I got through it, and I'm still getting through it. And then I challenged the girl that I shared my story with to go tell her story to somebody else, and she texts me back and she's like, oh my God, it worked. She doesn't feel like she's worthless anymore. And that's when I realized, if we're gonna go continuously challenge each other and share each other's story and build each other up, that's when we're gonna get stronger together, is by realizing that you have a story and that your story is gonna help somebody else. Like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to get over your past. It takes a village to live your life. You can't go through life without any type of support. If you think you can do a lot of stuff on your own, yeah, you may be able to, but when it comes time to needing someone to talk to or needing someone to share anything with, that's when you're going to need that support, is so you can gain strength and realize that you have more potential and that life's not always going to be like it is.
Yeah, that's so good. And that story thing, I know this is the thing that you keep talking about, but it's so true, because everybody has a story. And I think if you don't take anything away from this, those of you that are listening, your story matters and somebody needs to hear it, whether that's somebody older, somebody younger, somebody your age, somebody that may not even be born yet. Remember, this is Girls Inspiring Generations. So it may not look right now like a story that can impact somebody, but you never know who it's going to impact later on. Somebody could be 3 years old right now, and your story can impact them later when they're 13. So never discount your story because it's for someone, whether it's for now or for later. So good. Just a couple more questions here. I want to bring Josh back in here because I want both of you guys to answer this. What has GIG done for your marriage and family? I really want to hear this one.
honestly, and I know I keep saying TGR, and I keep going back in there because honestly, that program did so much for me in realizing who I was and who I can be, or realizing my potential. And I honestly think that if I didn't realize how to figure out who I am and be able to carry those tools with me throughout my life, even now, to realize who I am, I don't think that I would have ever been strong enough to even get into a marriage, let alone being married young, let alone having a family this young. And just, I don't know.
Well,
Okay.
I think what GIG has done for my family and our relationship, I have seen it's made a difference in Miranda, and it's made her stronger, which in turn, when your wife feels down and out about herself, she gets depressed and her anxiety goes through the roof, and then it takes a toll on family because then we're all being there for her. And what GIG has done, it has stepped in and has helped Miranda become, you know, a better, I wouldn't say not a better, that just sounds bad. Not a better person, but it makes her see herself in the forest. It makes her see herself who she actually is and who she can be.
Potential,
And
yeah.
in turn, the potential she can be. And that's strengthened our marriage and relationship because now she's realized who she can be, what she can do. She can be a mom. She can be a wife. She can do it. She can have a job. She can be an adult at such an early age. And it's just really strengthened us in that kind of way. It's really helped her out a lot. So
And that is so, so good to hear and just really warms my heart. And I think that's probably the first time, other than Travis, that I've actually heard a male's opinion on GIG because it's always such a great and amazing thing. So, like I said, just last couple of questions here. I want to hear about you guys' journey in creating a family. How has that been like? And just kind of briefly tell us some of the challenges, but also the joys in that.
our daughter is the devil. I promise you, she is the spawn of Satan. But then again, all the stuff that she does, all the little things that sometimes is irritating, but then again, you look back and you're just, it just makes you happy. You get to see your own family grow and realize that this is your life now. It's the most, it's your life. It's enjoyable. It's watching your child grow up and watching her do all of her little funny little nooks and stuff, and it's honestly a blessing to see my child grow. I can't wait till this one's born to see how she, raised up with siblings and watching them both grow up and grow together. And some of the tough stuff about it is, though, like I said, she's a spawn of Satan. She does not get her way. It's well, you have to buckle down sometimes and do the hard thing as a parent and kind of be, it's really hard for me because sometimes she'll do something and then I try to discipline, but then I can't because I look back, I'm like, this is just too adorable. I can't even go through with it. I mean, I know she'll slap my face and bit my hand, but you know what? I'm gonna pick her up and give her a hug anyhow. But there's just some things you got to do as a parent so that way your child knows right from wrong. But with her being so young, honestly, I love coming home from work, sitting down on my chair, and I just watch her as she grows. Like the other day, she sat down. She used to pick up toys and throw them across the room because that's how she thought she could play with them. But now she picks up the baby doll, she packs it around and rocks it, and she'll put her little stroller and push it around, and she'll look at it and go baby and go night night, and she'll pick it up and go put the baby in bed. And it's just the little things she does that makes my life enjoyable. Just sit back and watch her. She'll go over to Miranda and she'll touch her stomach and go baby. And right now, Miranda calls her the little monkey. So we call Raylan the little monkey because she's crawling over everything now. She's climbing up over everything. And so she'll go, she'll go, baby, and she'll point her herself like this, monkey. It's honestly, I've never been happier in my life, to be honest with you. That little monster makes me the happiest man alive. It really does.
Oh, yay. And you guys said you have, oh, sorry. You guys said you have another one on the way. Do you know the gender already? Did I miss that?
Not.
Fingers crossed it's a boy, but you know what? I'll take whatever's given to me. So we don't know yet.
I feel
Okay.
like it's a boy.
But as soon as
Okay.
we know, you got to be the first to know. So
But to add to all of Josh's joys, I will bring up the challenges because I know they're huge challenges for me. But honestly, all the miscarriages in between, this child that I'm pregnant with now is my 7th pregnancy, and I only have one child out of it so far. I had a miscarriage before we had Raylan, and I had a miscarriage after, when she was 3 months old. I had a miscarriage, and just in December I had my last miscarriage before we got pregnant with this one in February. So definitely those challenges throughout my entire pregnancy with Raylan, it scared me so much because all I wanted to do was hold my baby after I had her. But I couldn't get excited about it because all I had known the entire time of me being pregnant was the end of a pregnancy with nothing left, nothing to hold, nothing to show for it. And I always punished myself because I thought that the reason why I had so many miscarriages was because when I got my abortion when I was 16, when I was raped. And I had to push through that and tell myself that that's not why, and that's not the reason. And the other challenges am I being a good enough parent? Am I showing her the right things? Am I telling her the right things? Am I doing the right thing with her? When she got sick back in November,
that was scary.
That was definitely scary. So the challenges of being a parent or creating a family is learning how to freak out, but not freak out too much.
There's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
There's a lot of joys, but a lot of responsibilities as becoming a parent. It really is.
True.
But it is the most enjoyment you'll ever have in your life. But yes, when Raylan got deathly ill, we had no clue what was wrong with her. We sat in the hospital for nights on end with her, trying to figure out what it was.
3 nights with her.
3 nights, and we still could not figure out what it was. And being a parent, that was scary for us, because that was a little girl laying there.
You want to take away the pain for her because you know you could deal with it better, and you can talk more to tell the doctors exactly, my finger hurts, my arm hurts, anything hurts.
Right.
She couldn't, and all she did was she would scream, and her fever wouldn't go down, and then she started getting a rash, and she started throwing up, and she would. I think her not eating was the scariest thing for me, or not drinking, because I knew she was severely dehydrated, and me being a CNA, I think me being a CNA makes me freak out even more because I know the possibilities that can go wrong. I know what can happen. But that's definitely challenges of being a family.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
I think the joy is overweigh the challenges, so for babies.
Right.
Yeah. Well, then the last part that I just want to ask you is, how do you feel like you've grown as a result of those challenges?
I feel like
we've grown stronger together.
Stronger together. Obviously.
Having a family has taught me maturity. You definitely grow up way faster. Having a family has taught me responsibility, because being a dad, you have to be responsible. I mean, yes, Miranda's over here shaking her head. I do dumb stuff. I mean, I am 22 years old. I do dumb stuff.
He's got a point.
But you definitely got to grow up more. Because you're being there for that little baby. When she looks at you, that's what she sees. She wants to be like you. You're her role model, so you got to set the right precedent for her. You got to show her what is right and wrong, because she will watch you and she will copy you. So if you're doing bad things, she's gonna grow up thinking all that stuff's okay. So you got to buckle down, do what's right, because you got another life depending on it.
Right.
Right.
But I
So
know
good.
another thing that is hard on me is because of my depression and my anxiety is not hating on myself too much, because I know my daughter's watching me. And I don't want her to grow up thinking that it's okay to hate on yourself, even though I know sometimes I can't help it because of my major depression. But you really got to step up and watch what you do around your kid.
Right. Right. I think one thing that I noticed, like there was a common theme. If there was a common thing that I noticed throughout this entire conversation, it was about three words. And the first word is communication. The second word has been anxiety and depression put together. And then the third thing is stronger together. And I know not by coincidence that if you look at all three of those things separately, they does not fit together. But one thing I like about how the way to flow the conversation with is that it starts off with community and it ends with stronger together, which is another form of community. And so in the midst of your struggles, it's best that you have a community amongst you that's strong. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about GIG and building it with multiple age people is because you can build a community around any and everything, that now you get girls that's at youngest of 13, and then you have women as old as 60 to 70, and y'all can speak together on the struggles, the blessings, and the different things that goes on into life. Because I always look at life as one of the things that you don't have to be a certain age to teach. At your ages now, at 22, you can teach somebody that's older than me. I find myself in a position where, as a professor, my oldest student last year was 66 years old. And it was one of them things where, even for myself, you look at something like that and you think you should be teaching me. And even though that was a humble act of me just understanding that she has wisdom and she has seen life in different ways than I have at my age. But it was one of them things where I had to stop telling myself that, and I had to stop thinking that I wasn't an encouragement to others. And so I just wanted to say to you all, thank you for not only making the decisions that you make on a daily basis to be parents, to be spouse, to be what it is that you have to be in your community, to serve one another, to serve your family, because we learn from that ourselves. Even over GIG ourselves, we still learn from you all. I think a lot of our growth has come from the maturity levels of seeing so many young girls make decisions and challenge decisions and challenge their current situations in life and move past their pains, their mishaps, their issues. And so you all have been a blessing to us that we can see not only you grow, but you all move forward to your dreams and you move forward with family. It's just funny because we're like behind you, like we're literally behind you all when it comes to parenting, that our situation, like y'all had a girl first and then now we had a girl afterwards. So Josh, I'm praying for that boy for you because I want that boy right after. I love girls, but two girls in my household, and my daughter destroys everything. I don't know if I can go with two girls. I need a boy in there to kind of humble the situation. So I'm praying for y'all to have a boy as well and to have a blessing as well. And thank you for continuing to fight despite how difficult it gets, because a lot of people need to see that, especially from young people, because y'all are next leaders that's up in the world. My generation is walking into the corporate offices. We're the CEOs now that's starting to take shape in America. And so your generation is following right after. So it's a blessing to know that we have two people that can be not only great leaders, but they can be a great support for one another as well.
Yes, so good. And just the last couple of questions is really just about impact. And we have already heard this entire interview how your marriage and your story is empowering others, because I already know a lot of that. But I want to hear what other ways are you currently inspiring generations and actively ensuring that generations are being inspired?
I think a lot of it has to start with our daughter, because our daughter is the next generation. Our kids are the next
Right.
generation. I think definitely teaching her discipline from right from wrong. If we don't start now, it's not going to be good later. And the next generation is just going to be a complete mess and chaos. And I'm still trying to get back into Stronger Together more than I have been. And I know because my life has been hectic and I'm trying to be a mom and try to be a wife and trying to learn how to do all this all over again. But I don't know.
Joshua, how are you actively inspiring generations?
Well, actively inspiring other generations. I try to set myself out there for president and role model to show younger generations that you can be a father at a young age, you can be mature at a young age. But for the most part, I kind of stick to myself and work a lot. So
Hey, I mean, that's okay, but you may not know exactly how you're inspiring generations, and that's okay. But one day somebody's going to tell you. Somebody really is going to tell you, because even though we're actively out here doing it, sometimes there could be people. I've had girls come up to me 4 or 5 years later, tell me, Miss Corley, this is how you inspired me. So somebody right now, Joshua, could be watching your life and saying, I'm inspired by you, and you may not even know it until you're 25, 35, or even 55. So don't doubt that you aren't doing it, even though you may not actively be looking to do so, because your life is an inspiration to somebody. So,
thank you.
and last thing, how can others connect with the both of you to find more about what you're doing?
Probably through Facebook, Messenger. I know a lot of the girls from Stronger Together and even GIG, they'll still message me, ask me random questions. Honestly, probably Messenger, Facebook.
That would honestly be the same thing for me. If anybody out there wants to talk to me, I'm always open book. You can always contact me at any point in time, and I'm always free to talk. I'm on the road all the time. I haul truck and trailer for a bunch of Amish guys. That's what I do for a living. So I'm always around my phone. If anybody needs to talk to me about absolutely anything, I'm there for you. Honestly, I really am. Because even though I'm only 22 years old, I've been through a lot.
Same.
Right.
I went through a lot overseas, and I went through a lot over here. I went through a lot growing up because I was adopted. I was adopted at the age of 4 years old, so I do have ongoing anxiety from that. So if there's anybody out there that ever wants to contact me and they want to talk to me about their adoption or how it's affecting them, or if they got PTSD of just about any sort, I understand PTSD. I really do. I have bad PTSD.
Right.
It's honestly pretty bad. But I'm here to talk you through it, and I'm here to just listen. I will sit here and just listen. If you just want to get on here and just let me have it, or you just want to go and spill a bunch of stuff, and I'm here for that too. I'm here for a coder to try on, and I'm here to help you get through this stuff too. So honestly, Facebook is what I'm on. So
That's great. Well, thank you guys. I got a little surprise for you. I think somebody, Josh, is pulling for Team Boy for you. Miss Angela Slice says she's pulling for Team Boy. So you already know we're pulling for Team Boy for you too. But I think it's just a great deal to have both genders in your children. I think it's fun. But I really do believe that God is going to bless you with the one that you really need the most. So we are so proud of you guys. And we know that all things are working together for the good of you and yours. So please, please, please continue to believe that in all that you do. Travis, anything you want to say?
Hey, I just want to say thank you. I know your arm is probably hurting. You've been holding it up for 54 minutes. You're the GOAT. I was wondering if I want to know when her arm is going to stop. She just phone is going to fall. I was kind of waiting for it, but you held on strong. So that was funny. I was counting. I thought she was going to give out about 35 minutes, but you held on strong. Now it's just a blessing to build a relationship with you all and to just hear your story, but to also see how you're living out being stronger together. I think that's a powerful thing, and I'm blessed, like I said before, to see that you all can do it at the young age that you can. Because at 22, I was a whole mess, and I was staying in the state of Nebraska. I was about 3-4 hours away from where you're at, and so it was one of the things. I was an entire mess when I was that age. So it's blessed to see you all at your age holding it down, enjoying family, and growing a marriage. So thank you for doing that. You're great leaders, and continue to inspire other people as you continue to live.
Yes, and last thing I just want to say is, do you guys have any last words of encouragement, maybe for a teenage girl, even a teenage guy, Joshua, that could be listening to this, or even anybody who could be listening to this, because this is Growth Inspiring Generations. So any last words of encouragement from either of you?
Believe in yourself and stay strong. Yeah.
I will add to what Travis was saying earlier about the 3 words that he has heard during this whole entire conversation was the community and stronger together and depression and anxiety. Don't ever let anybody disvalue your feelings or your thoughts or your emotions. Ever. If you feel a certain way about something, then that's how you feel about that way. Don't let anyone disvalue your feelings just to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
Right.
So good. Well, guys, thank you so much for spending this last hour with us. We appreciate you spending your night with us. And if you're watching live or watching a replay, we thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this. We pray that something that one of us said has encouraged you and just giving you a little bit more hope in whatever it is that you may be experiencing. So feel free to reach out to us or either one of us at any time. As we've all said, we appreciate you guys being here, and tune in next week because we have a very special guest next week for Feature Friday, and I can't wait to share who that is. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right, see ya.
See you later.
Bye.